Welcome to the Black and White Table Talk, real talk behind the whistle. Today, we're hearing from the people we almost never hear from, the spouses of officials. We've got a couple of my best friends on the officiating circuit here with me, and their wives are here. So they live the schedule, they carry some of the anxiety, and sometimes absorb the fallout from a job that should never put us at risk. This isn't about replaying hard moments or anything for effect. It's just about telling the truth. And I want the spouses, Lydia and Cherell, to let us know how they really feel so we can build something better, so we can make it different. Because our calls don't just stop on the court. Sometimes it follows us home. So, would you two introduce yourselves to us, please, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Sherelle?
I'm Lydia
Oh, Lydia.
Johnson.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's
I'm
good. It's
Lydia
okay.
Johnson, wife of Gerald Johnson. How long have you been officiating?
30 something years.
Yeah, he's been officiating for about as long as we've been married. So, and we're 30 years this year.
Oh,
So,
Congratulations.
thank you. And having Gerald officiating, it's just always been a part of our relationship. So I haven't known anything but that.
Yeah,
So
great, great. Sherelle.
how you doing? I am Sherelle Thorpe, and my husband is Ben Thorpe. He's been officiating for over 15 years. Like we've been in Georgia for 22, 23 years, and that's something that he's picked up since we've been here. I can't really tell you like for how long because he's always been the coach of all three of my kids' teams. So for me, it just seems like forever. So I'm
Yeah,
just picking 15 since you know him for 15. How about that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Gerald officiates a few different sports, right? Baseball, basketball, and volleyball.
he
Across
used to.
used
He
to. Okay,
he
okay.
used to,
He
and
has.
now he's strictly volleyball.
Yeah, yeah. And Ben officiates basketball, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, is there a difference, do you think, Lydia, when Gerald used to officiate the different sports?
I didn't feel like there was a difference. I mean, obviously the rules are different,
Yeah,
but his commitment was never different
yeah,
to always wanting to call a fair game.
yeah,
So to me, that was always the common thread
yeah,
for
yeah,
officiating any sport.
yeah. So when your husband has a game, what does your day look like? I'd love for both of you to answer that question. Does your day change at all? What happens logistically the night before? Is it different or
Um, I definitely see him mentally going through checklists of what he needs to prepare, making sure that he has the correct information on the site, the time, the teams, that sort of roll call. He's going through that, getting his bag ready the
Mhm.
night before, and just trying to stay on top of the latest information. And sometimes information changes quickly because there could be a change, there could be some teams that drop, and so the shape of what he thinks he's doing then changes to something different.
yeah, yeah. Rel, how is your day? Is it any different when Ben has a game logistically? Do you have to plan for anything different or schedules and stuff?
Well, no. We're basically empty nesters now, and I teach for Gwinnett County Schools, so a lot of time I will go with him to a game, and like she said, I experience the same things. Like he'll be with his list. taking out his rules, making sure he laminated whatever, laminated and put rings on just to make sure he remembers what the rules are.
Yeah.
Or you'll watch him practicing his hand signals. I met Ben in a nursing home, and I remember used to see old men in a nursing home with these hand signals. So I told the kids, if we ever get old and end up in a nursing home and they see your father doing this stuff, just let them know he used to be a referee because he can just be watching TV and he'll be practicing his hand signals.
Oh.
Hmm.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. So what do you think is a part that the fans, the coaches, and even other officials would never think to ask about, like in terms of what we do?
I don't know if this addresses the question, but I don't know if there's a true understanding of the amount of training that you as officials go through.
Yeah.
And all the officials I've ever met always have, as much as possible, a standard of excellence. And I don't know that some of the fans understand that because they're very reactive. And I don't know that they totally get that the officials really are trying to do their best the minute they step on the court. And of course, officiating is such a thankless job. uh, but I don't know that there's a deep understanding for the amount of hours that is put into what all of you do. I don't think they truly understand that.
Yeah.
And another thing too, I think I would probably add to that coaches and families and fans need to understand that when you guys come to work and do the job, like she said, you guys are very dedicated. But also the fact that it's not personal. Like
Yes.
we're following the rules for everybody, and that is just not personal. Like sometimes I'll be sitting there watching a game, and you will see the fans get like so upset. Like I remember going with Ben to a tournament in like Macon and just sitting there, and the mom and me is like getting excited for everybody. Like, yeah. And some guy looks at me and is like, so which team are you here for? And I go, I'm really not here for a team. I'm with the ref. And he goes, oh man, I can't even say what I want to say. And I go, no, 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 enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. So the guy's there and he's enjoying himself. And he looks over because, he wants to know which one is my husband. And, we're sitting there talking. And he looks at me and he goes, your husband's all right, but I'm going to go over there because I want to curse at the ref a little bit. So I'm going to go on the other side so I can be respectful to you, or whatever the case may be. So
Wow.
it was a funny thing because sometimes when Ben has to go far, if it's on a weekend and I have nothing to do, especially that we're empty nesters now, I can get in a car and ride with him and just sit there, and just
Yeah.
support him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Lydia, do you go to games?
I do go to games. And um Gerald's skill level is pretty exceptional. So the level of games that he calls, they're really good games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I'm able to go, I really do enjoy going to the games. And that's, to me, it's always exciting to see that. But one thing I'll add is that not just when he's officiating, if we happen to go and sit down and watch a game, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, I've always said there's nothing like sitting and watching a game with a bunch of officials. I've never
Hmm.
seen anyone critique the
Yeah.
officials when you're at some sporting event. As much as a group of officials, it's fascinating to watch. And if I know with Gerald, if someone says, "Oh, ref, you blew that call," every single time, Gerald will turn around and say, "Well, actually," and he will educate them. And then they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, oh, okay, okay." So it doesn't stop just because he's not on the court. It's all the time.
Mhm.
Whether we're watching on TV, whether we're, sitting someplace live, it's all the time.
Yeah, we've got that built-in mechanism that I don't think we can not see a game from just a regular fan's perspective anymore.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
just it's bad. So Ben used to Ben. That's a great story. So Ben used to coach. Did you were you all married when he coached?
Yeah. Hmm. He coached. He
So
coached all of our kids.
so was that what sports were those? Was it
He,
basketball, football, or?
he coached rec basketball and soccer, and he's still coaching soccer right now. He coaches our grandson's soccer team right now.
Oh wow! So we're
So,
gonna need to talk about that. He's got a couple different. I didn't know he coached. So
just think,
so
right?
yeah.
Charisma
So
is 30, and he coached one year. He coached all three kids' soccer team at the same time. So we spent about 6 days on the field. And then when basketball season and soccer season kind of overlapped, he coached the two teams for our two oldest kids at the same time. So we spend a lot of time out there.
yeah.
Hmm.
So that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask too. Is what happens to family time? I mean, holidays, birthdays. Has the I mean the calendar kind of it's what we're fighting against, I guess, as for you as spouses too, huh?
Oh yes, there are sacrifices with that time. I mean, just anyone who does professional sports, I think it's the same. You, for me, I know I don't get too tied up to a date on a calendar when something comes up. As long as we can celebrate something in our own way when we have time, I'm I'm okay with that. You just have to be very flexible with that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Haven't
Terrell.
really experienced that.
Yeah.
Where the basketball calendar, well, it does interfere with Father's Day every year. He goes to camp. Father's Day weekend, he does whatever y'all referees do at this camp on Father's Day weekend. When you're going to do your research or whatever it is you do, it always falls on Father's Day weekend, whatever camp he wind up going to. So that one, that's the only time I've ever seen that the schedule interfere with the holiday or family time.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving or Christmas, usually basketball's going on
Mhm.
during that time. He's has been really good at blocking his calendar out or
Yeah, he's very good at blocking his
okay.
calendar. He's
Okay.
very good at blocking his calendar. Hmm.
Yeah,
At
so
one time, he wasn't. So I would just tell you, maybe in the last 5 to 10 years, he's been very adamant, just making sure he has family time and things of that nature. So one time he was not good at that. My kids were just talking about the fact that there would be times that they didn't see their dad. Like they would like run in the morning or things of that nature because that's how busy he would be. But like right now, he's very intentional with that. The
yeah.
only thing that he doesn't avoid is camp.
Yeah, which we pretty much have to kind of attend for the most part to keep
Hmm.
our registrations active and stuff. So the
Hmm.
time is it would you say that that's one of the larger costs that that's kind of impacts you as spouses or the family at times?
Yes. Well, with Gerald, he basically can officiate year round with all the different, I don't know, club and UIL and all that. That can go year round. And so he will talk to me, ahead of time and say, hey, I'm considering this, or I might be invited to this tournament, or what do you think about this time frame? Um, and so for me, as long as it's a discussion, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sherelle, do you think that's one of the bigger sacrifices is time?
I don't. I wouldn't say that now. Maybe when the kids were younger, I probably would say it would be time. But right now, no, no, no. It's okay.
So,
Okay.
do you think there are any sacrifices or there are any costs um to you, I guess, in terms of and this is one thing that I really kind of want to touch on is just from a safety perspective. Do you are were you ever or have you been concerned about safety and things like that at venues when Gerald was doing, maybe more basketball or baseball?
I have, when fans seem particularly hostile. And I remember, I think it was the first time I went to, I don't even remember what sport it was. And he said, as soon as the game is over, we leave. There is no hanging around. We go
Mhm.
immediately to the car and we're gone. And he explained why later. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes complete sense. But, the fact that there's no real security kind of walking people out, that has been a source of concern for me. And then just in general, with the amount of violence at public events, that does concern me too, which is kind of a separate issue.
Yeah,
But yeah, all of that does, you know, kind of go through my mind from time to time, that you hope everything stays under control and everything is okay. And um Gerald is pretty even tempered, and he has a really good way of de-escalating, but you just never know what kind of people you're going to encounter.
yeah,
So it can things can just kind of abruptly change, and so that's always a concern.
yeah. Is Ben doing a lot of rec ball, Sherelle? Or
Yeah, rec season is picking up. Like I know at one time, out here they did have like a all on brawl with the parents. But as soon as he felt it coming, he called the game and he was like out of there. But when he came home, he was kind of traumatized because that was the first time he'd ever experienced something like that. And he just said he saw it kind of like brewing. And
Mm.
for a minute, I think for a whole season, they didn't let us have rec ball out here at that particular venue. They weren't allowed to have, I think it was a certain age group. They weren't allowed to do rec ball there anymore for a minute.
yeah. Is that and you mentioned something that I want to touch on definitely in a minute, but does that concern you? Does that safety piece, is that something that you have thoughts about too when
No.
Ben goes to do? It isn't.
No, he does. If he's not bothered, I'm not bothered. Like if he's good, I'm good. Now I do know there are some venues he's gone to where there was one where we went to where the police were there when it was done, and it was interesting because it was like a Christian school, and they paid for the service where the police officers were there and they walked the refs to their car in the evening. So I have experienced that with him as well too, where the
Yeah,
police officers stay and walked us to the car.
yeah,
And like
That's
I said, it was
nice.
at a Christian school, so I was like, huh. But again, you know.
yeah. So, I mean, have you seen any of the viral videos or anything like that about referees getting attacked and stuff like that?
I
Have
have.
you
Yeah,
guys seen any of that
I've
stuff?
seen him. I've seen him. I've seen
It's
him.
unsettling,
I've seen him.
yes.
I've
Yeah,
seen him.
so I mean, I think, for me, and the more I talk to more officials, um, we seem to feel like it's and the consensus is that it's getting worse, right?
Mhm.
It's not getting any better. I think so I it's interesting that you don't have concern about it to me, and that, you just are like, hey, it's just it is what it is almost, huh? Is that what you feel, Sherelle? Or you don't do you think it's getting
Um,
better, or have you gotten a
well,
sense of it?
here's the deal. To be totally honest with you, we've talked about places or games he's taken if he didn't feel comfortable at one point or another where he just decided he's not going to go back there. So maybe he has had that experience and he made just a decision for himself that that's not any place that he wants to be.
Yeah,
So because of that, I haven't worried. But yes, I've seen the viral videos. And I've probably been some places where you probably seen parents or spectators
yeah,
get out of hand and just get very disrespectful. So I have seen it, but have I worried about it? No,
yeah,
no. Um, Only because, like I said, if you pay attention to Ben, and again, I don't know if it's the New Yorker in him, he's watching everything. So if his instincts tells him to shut it down, he's gonna shut it down. Yeah, he's gonna shut it down if he feels like if he cannot handle it. And I've experienced that before, where he will shut a game down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I trust his judgment in that. And I do believe, like, sometimes when you look at these viral videos, you will see a lot of time that the ref is doing their job, they're carrying the game, and they're trying to, and they're hoping, right? Because sometimes you'll see refs tell the coaches, like, hey, talk to your parents, before I have to, or talk to your team, or things of that nature. And I feel like a lot of time with you guys, once you put it in their hands, you have faith that they're gonna handle it, right? And if it doesn't, then I just have faith that Ben is going to make the right decision at that time to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, Lydia, have you experienced, Gerald coming home after something that's been kind of crazy, wacky that's happened at a baseball game or a basketball or even a volleyball game? Volleyball's pretty tame for the most part. I think the code of conduct and all that stuff it really prevents, I think, a lot of the brawls, so to speak. But have you seen any of that happen?
Well, what I have seen is parents getting a little too eager over their kids, where they're almost blinded by their opinions. And what I have seen is, Gerald talking to the coaches, and even like the poor players, like whoever's kid that is, the parents up in the stands, and they're just like dying on the court because they're like, shut up, mom, that sort of a thing. And it's just mortifying for them. I have seen that, but I will tell you one thing that I've seen Gerald do, um, when they complain, make any complaints, um, that he will go to them later, not during play, and say, "Listen, you're pretty observant. Why don't you see about getting some training to be an official? And here's a business card."
Yeah.
And it is so funny to me how that changes everything, because then it's putting a different sort of responsibility on them that I know that they hadn't considered before, because a lot of these people, they want to complain but they don't want to be part of a solution. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's almost like the complaining is like a sport in and of itself.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, and there's some, and we've talked about this where there's some leagues where if you, and it may be in Texas, right? So I think that's where you all are.
Yeah, we're in
That
Texas.
if you complain and you get like removed or asked to leave the game, you have to go through umpire training in order to see your kid again and call a game,
Hmm.
which I think is a very interesting kind of dynamic, is to ask you to referee.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as people think it is.
It is not. It is not. And it's such a huge weight. It's such a huge responsibility. And I think that's why it always gives people pause when he even suggests that idea, because they feel the weight of, well, that means I would be responsible for making decisions.
Hmm.
And I don't think people are really prepared to deal with that sort of a thing. It
No.
is it is a quite a heavy responsibility to be responsible for those calls.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So, Sherelle, you mentioned, and I think what I heard you say was, Ben's come home kind of he was a little traumatized from a brawl that he had witnessed.
Hmm.
Um, what can you explain to me a little bit more about that experience, about what you observed and what Ben said and what kind of happened?
You know what I think the most trauma, what I think it is sometimes when you go to these things. you just have more faith in the parents. And I think that was the most disappointing aspect of it from him, that it was the parents, it was not the kids, you know,
Hmm.
when he came in. It was just his disappointment in the parents. And then there was another thing, is just certain neighborhoods you don't expect that. So I believe it happened in a community where he totally didn't expect it. So that was another surprising aspect. I feel like you need to be ready at all times, because that was a clear indication that it doesn't matter. You may think you're in the finest neighborhood and these, these people are educated or whatever the case may be. And it just happened in a place that he totally was not expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we say, some of the worst behaving kids are at Christian schools. It's kind of funny, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
probably have handed out more technical files at Christian schools than I have anywhere else. I mean, and you're just like, it's kind of the cart before it's backwards, right? It's
Hmm.
anyway, but it's pretty interesting. I think there is a certain level of disappointment too. Lydia, do you remember Gerald coming back from games kind of like that at
I
all?
do. I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I do remember instances where things went south. And I could see him trying to collect his thoughts, trying to recount exactly in his mind how things played out. And so it's either, him taking notes or him immediately on a phone call where I don't even have to ask because he's talking to somebody and he'll say, because I know you're going to get a phone call, I am calling you now while it's fresh in his mind. Often it's, within the hour that he got home that he is explaining exactly what happened.
Yeah,
And I think that's a really smart strategy to handle it that way, where you're getting ahead of it and you're able to explain from your perspective exactly what happened.
yeah, yeah. So, do you think? Have you recognized any changes, personality wise or demeanor wise, because of officiating? Because we officiate, like. I guess maybe you've known Gerald when he first started. He was already an official, right?
I think yeah, he's been officiating since he was in college. Yeah. So he was doing that far longer than, when we met.
Yeah. So he's been pretty steady for the most part in terms of how he is around the kids and family and all that stuff. It's pretty.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's always understood kind of how to handle a situation. But I think as have moved on, I think he's just refined how he deals with things. And I he just seems to be, to me, just more skilled and ready for anything that can happen and to
Yeah.
act accordingly.
Yeah. So, Rel, do you think Ben has changed when he started officiating? You think his personality or demeanor, or do you think any of that is any different?
Do you mean at home or on the court?
Well, either, both. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, on the court, he's very stoic. So if you looked at him, he's very stoic on the court. He doesn't really smile often. Um, it's as if he doesn't have any personality, if you see him. Like, meaning, it's the whole concept when I tell people, like, is when I tell people, as far as when you're thinking about a ref, that is nothing personal. They're coming to do their best job to officiate and just make sure that the rules are followed and that the children are doing whatever they need to do to be safe. But he's very stoic on the court, but it's a different person outside. He's very happy, bubbly, and jovial. But you wouldn't know that seeing him, how serious his face is on the court. And I don't know if you noticed that in working with him.
Mhm.
It's like something turns on.
Yeah.
Yeah, something in his facial expression
Yeah.
just turns on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, do you think Do you think he's was different initially when he first started officiating? I mean, do you think there's something different about him from when was he happier when he officiated, or You
You know,
think?
that's his happy place. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Like that's something he looks forward to doing. Even like I said, even when the kids were younger and he was coaching, that was an outlet for him. He looked forward to doing it. If he wanted to go, I'd be like, "Hey, see you when you get back. Like you love you know." Or talk to him and ask him how the game was. I'll talk to him on his way home, or put out like the foot massager and
Yeah.
his compression boots or something for him to just kind of put on
Thank
and
you.
just see if he's hungry
Yeah.
and have his food ready or whatever it is. But that is his happy place. That's his outlet. Even like now, he has me going. It's so much of his outlet. Like when he wants to go to a game, if he has no one to go to a game with him, he'll be like, "Hey, can you come with me to the sports bar?" And I'd be like, "Okay, okay, I'll go," because that's my job. That's it. And I'll put on a jersey for whatever team he's rooting for. I'll put on a jersey and a hat, and I'll go sit with him.
Yeah.
Because that's just his happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And same for Gerald. In fact, when you said outlet, he has said that so many times. Officiating is his outlet, being connected to sports is his outlet.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you feel the job's been supportive, like, of what you all's goals are, like what y'all want to do? Has it ever interfered with any of that, any of your goals?
I would say no, really no. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I said, that whole outlet thing, it makes him more happier when he does it like anyway. And if you know anything about Ben and I, like we get up at 4 in the morning, go to the gym anyway. If it's a cardio day, he's like, "Nope, I got a game." He has every excuse, he'll look at me and I'll tap him on the shoulder, like, "Hey, you going with me?" And he'll throw that blanket over his shoulder and turn the other way and be like, "Nope, I got a game. I got my cardio on," something of that nature. So other than that, no, I feel like that makes him happy. Like when the kids were smaller and life was so much more stressful, he looked forward to that. And then he looked forward to the camaraderie of whoever it is that he's working with, you know? And if that makes him happy, that makes me happy. And, we get some time apart and then we come back and it's like, "Hey, how did it go? Blah, 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 blah. What do you need?" You know? And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know, Gerald is an educator, and so being in a classroom or on a campus all day, it's a whole different set of skills, but he's always loved sports. So for him to go out and do that and get a sense of satisfaction and a job well done is very important to him. So, I mean, the only like logistically, we just have, senior dogs. And so I think a lot of times, when I would want to travel with him or go do things with him, I'm not able to just because I need to stay home. But
Yeah.
um, I've never said, "Hey, this is not a good idea. Don't go here," or anything like that. I mean, you want to be as supportive as possible for whatever goals they have in officiating, whatever direction they want to go.
Yeah. So is there one thing you think that helps you support um Gerald and Ben, differently in this avocation than, their primary vocation?
For me, it's just being super flexible, understanding that you know the schedule on a tournament is just a suggestion, and it just always remembering that because things can change so quickly. And so if you think, okay, maybe I'll see him sometime around 6 o'clock, it may not be until 10 o'clock that you see him just because
Right.
of the way things happen. And so it's just remembering that things can change, and you can't, it's not personal, you can't take it personal.
Mm.
It's just a million things can go wrong, and a million things often do go wrong. And it's if they're looking forward to, "Hey, I think I'll be done by this time," and then it
Mhm.
turns out they're there 4 hours later, it's a disappointment for them too. So it's just being flexible and being supportive for me.
Yeah, those schedules, man, they're we can't control them at, and believe me, we
Yeah.
we probably want to more than anybody. you know.
Yeah.
So, Sherelle, do you have anything in general that you feel you know we to support Ben in any way differently?
No, I mean, I totally agree with her. I totally agree with Lydia. You just got to be flexible, like you said. The schedule is not really the schedule, like you said. It's a suggestion. It's like when you hear people in the military say that you're waiting around, just waiting around. They always say they're waiting around to wait around. So I just kind of feel like that sometimes, especially during tournament times. And a lot of times during tournaments, he'll just stay there. He'll stay there and watch the other games and
Yeah.
support the other refs. So, like I said, for me, if it makes him happy, that's fine with me.
Mhm.
And that's his outlet, that's his happy place. And I just kind of support that. They're like we don't have moments about the schedule. We don't have moments about anything of that nature. I will bug him about his schedule. Like, hey, what you doing this week? Because I'm a hyper teacher. So I'm kind of hyper with him at that, like, hey, what's going on? So just to make sure that our schedules are lined up and I didn't make any plans, because I make plans, that I didn't make any plans that override with his plans. But other than that, I just like I said, just support him. If he comes in late, I'm just ready. I'm ready with like I said, I'm ready with the home medics foot massage, or I'm ready with with those boots those compression boots. I'm ready with his food. Like he just left to go to a game. I just made dinner. So when he comes in tonight, he can eat his dinner. So I was trying to finish up before we got in here, just to make sure it's just a smooth transition when he comes home, you know? And you
Yeah.
just pray it all went well on the court, and that's it. And if it didn't, then I'll just be a listening ear waiting for him to get home and tell me about it.
So, is there something that you want officials to hear, like you want us to hear in particular? Like, don't bring in this stuff home, or, anything that, you think um we need to hear that maybe you haven't said to us.
Uh, well, I say this all the time, but I think it's worth repeating. Keep us up to date on the schedule. Just keep us up to date on the schedule. And if you share a calendar like we share a calendar on our phones, make sure that's up to date. That's really important, just to make sure it's up to date and it's got the information. So, we're not asking, it's already there. For
Mhm.
me, that's a big thing because, I like to plan. I like to see what is ahead for the next week. And so that's
Yeah.
really important to
Yeah.
me also, just to have that information because we know you guys have it.
Mhm.
Just share it with us.
Mhm.
Just remember to share it with us.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. Thanks. I don't do that very often, but
Mhm. I totally agree with that one. I totally
Yeah.
agree. Because you got to remember, right? Your household moves around your basketball schedule. Now, because we have been with our spouses for so long and we understand that that's an outlet and a happy place for them, everybody may not feel that way. You understand?
Right.
It
Yeah.
may be if their children are smaller or responsibilities are different, it could be a hindrance in the home. But like she said, I totally agree. It's the schedule because I like to make plans. I need to know what's
Yeah.
going on. Like for instance, we had a graduation to go to a couple weeks ago, and he had some games. When he came in, I wasn't ready because the communication. I kind of thought he didn't want to drive to Carrollton. It's graduation season. He was tired. He was out from 6 a.m. So we kind of miscommunicated on that one. So
Yeah.
scheduling and communication is very, very important.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
is there anything you'd want new spouses to know, like that are, their spouses are just getting into officiating? Is there something you would forewarn them other than tell them not to date an official? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ah, um, well, I think I said this earlier. Just be flexible and understand if a time for a game is, say, 5 o'clock, they have to be there before then because that's what the coach's expectation are. And the
Mhm.
planning that goes into it is pretty extensive. So just understand that there's a whole obligation that goes along with that. And if a game, if they say, I expect that this game will be through, or, best 2 out of 3 or whatever it is at this time, and it runs over, don't get angry. That is just the game.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's nothing directed at you as a new spouse. It's nothing directed at you. And, as time moves on, if they stick with officiating, you'll learn that.
Yeah.
But it it is an adjustment to try to understand that. It's a very different world.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time is sometimes not ours. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
And depending on who it is, it could be frustrating. I can see where it could be frustrating, but again, it depends on where you are. Like she said, from someone who is new and their husband is just starting out,
Yeah.
or their spouse, because women officiate as well too.
Mhm.
If their spouse or their mate is just starting out, you realize that it takes a toll on your plans.
Yeah.
But again, I've been we've been doing this for a while. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should have maybe caught you a little bit earlier. So maybe
Well,
there
I
was
don't
a
really know. I don't know if catching me earlier would have made a difference, like I said, because I see his enjoyment. And again, remember I was saying when the kids were smaller and they were so overscheduled, he needed that outlet. He needed to go outside. He needed that camaraderie with whoever he was on the court with. And for us being New Yorkers moving here, him officiating, he made a lot of connections. He made a lot of friends and a lot of brother. Those were things he needed outside of us, outside of the home, outside of his wife, outside of the kids. He needed that. Yeah,
yeah.
he absolutely needed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you
Mhm.
say the same thing, Lydia? I mean, would you say that there's a friend group, from officiating?
yes. Yes. I know that he has connections through, professional colleagues at work, but through officiating, these are people he sees all the time at different tournaments on weekends. And he just came back from Orlando, so I may not know all the officials by face, but I know several of them by name. And when I'm lucky enough to see them, they're always very, very nice.
Yeah.
Because I think they do recognize, that we're part of the officiating family too, kind of unofficially part of the family too.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, so I've got a ton more questions, but I'm gonna wrap it up. And I know I just appreciate y'all for sharing your thoughts and some of the things that you feel, and hopefully it'll help newer officials and their spouses and other people to just kind of understand what you go through. We definitely appreciate y'all. I mean, you're kind of behind the scenes for most of what happens with us, but you're always with us. So we
Yes.
definitely appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I will say, if anyone responds and says, "Hey, I kind of have some questions or would like to talk to someone that has been where I am," would you let Gerald know? And I'll reach out to anyone directly if they have any questions or,
Oh, for sure.
comments or anything.
Mhm.
I'm happy to
There's
do that.
There's no doubt about it. We definitely have a support group as officials.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if having a spouses, official spouses support group would be beneficial. Just to kind of, because I know it's really difficult. And I mean, to me, if you're doing a lot of basketball, which unfortunately seems to be the craziest sport now, it can be a lot harder kind of going through some of the anxiety and security and safety issues. So we definitely appreciate it. And I will definitely, if anybody needs anything, wants anything, I will definitely give them Gerald's information and Ben's too. So
Oh, thank you. And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your thoughtfulness and just even thinking beyond an officials group to even, have the presence of mind to say, hey, why don't we talk to some spouses? I was
Mhm.
very surprised by that. I was like, wow, in all the time Gerald's officiated, that's never come up. So thank
yeah.
you.
Well, we appreciate y'all. We love you, and I love your spouses. So they're my family. They're my friends that have become my family. So I appreciate them. They've been very supportive of me, and I hope that they would say I try to support them too. So I'll see them soon.
All
Okay.
righty.
I'm glad to
Thank
see
you.
y'all. Thanks a
All
All
lot.
right.
right.
Nice meeting you, Lydia.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too. All
Mhm.
right. Y'all
Thank
take
you.
Bye.
care. All
Bye.
righty.